Our revamped asset vaults experience provides users with near instant transfers, cross-chain atomic swaps, and much more, making it easy to govern, manage, and move digital assets directly within custody. Can you tell us more about asset vaults?
Yes. So this is one of the core pillars of Credo, right? So the two things we do well. Hopefully we do more than two things well, but the core things that we do well is to manage keys and manage assets. Management of keys, and we'll go through it next, is around our Web3 wallets. Managing assets is around the way we can take custody over your assets, regardless of the key that manages it. And this is important because that means that your asset can then be portable within the network to the extent that you want to move it. You can aggregate it. You can do payments, use cases on top of it. You can do a lot of things because the asset has been somewhat decoupled from its origin address. Can be moved around the network, but the network is clever enough that at any block, we're ensuring that your holding and the reserves that are funding your holding, so what you deposited, are always in match. So we never have the issue of having to prove our reserves because we have a real-time block explorer for it. And the product that exposes this functionality is what we essentially renamed asset vaults. And an asset vault is essentially a specific asset that you decide to take custody over. It could be Bitcoin, it could be Credo, USDC. And any deposit you make to that asset vault accrues your balance. And anything you want to do with that balance is really up to you. You can make atomic swaps, which is sort of our popular way of making instant transfers across the platform. And because those, as I mentioned before, we decouple the origin from the representation of the asset, you can make swaps within, and on any other currency that the network supports. So you can trade assets that come from Solana to Bitcoin, for instance, or you can do more fancy stuff in the future, such as basket of securities that matches other basket of security. And the atomic swap, if you're not familiar with the lingo, sounds very fancy, but it essentially is an important property of any transaction. It means that it either succeeds or it fails. There's no scenario in which you're going to give away your asset and not getting anything in return, because the transaction is done atomically. And asset vaults is an exciting vertical for us because we have a bunch of new things in store, and we'll get maybe to it at a later stage on how we can take this concept forward. But it's very important for the future of Credo, because a lot of service provider, they want to manage digital asset for the organization, but they want to simply abstract the complexity that comes with managing keys and funding gas and all of those things. Can simply use this product and the API that powers it to offer digital asset in their business.
Thank you so much, Gabe. As always, it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to our listeners. Be sure to keep in touch with Credo for all updates and news, as you will always hear it here first. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more on the roadmap to come, so keep your eyes peeled.